And welcome everybody to another edition of the Cripple Connection podcast. As always, my name is Cody Lashley. You can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack. I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Jeffrey Redmond. Jeffrey, what's up, bro?
Hey Cody, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. And throwing together a show for today, you and I decided to, kind of wind down instead of talking about console wars anymore. Let's talk about some of these games that we have coming up that you and I are both excited to play. I'm interested to compare and contrast our list. Both of us have picked a top 5 most anticipated games, and we're just gonna kind of go through them and see what games we have in common and why we're excited about each and every one of these video games. If you like the content that we do, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like button. Hit the notification bell to get updates every time we go live. Jeffrey, do you want to start off, or do you want?
Sure.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
So I wouldn't be a Nintendo fan if I didn't include something from the Switch that's going to be coming. But there's a reason I put this at number 5, and it's because it's a HD remaster of a game that already exists. This is Shin Megami 3 Nocturne. For anyone who is familiar with the
You might need to
Persona
restart the
series,
video.
oh shit, sorry about that. For anybody who's interested in the Persona series, uh, this game or this franchise is actually the original before it made the spinoff into Persona. So it is a tried and true Japanese role playing game. Um, you take control of a demi fiend who is like half human, half demon, and basically the world goes to shit. The apocalypse happens, and you have to, either side. You have the ability to side with either the angels or the demons, or to go completely neutral. So there's different endings. This is something that Shin Megami has always had. However, I've never played any of these games. Like I said, I've played Persona. I've played the spin-offs, but for me to go back and really give this series a proper try with one of its better games, or so I've been told, is nice. And this is an HD remaster for the Switch. So yeah, I'm really excited. I love traditional uh, role playing games where you actually have to sit and think. And this game is like one of the hardest ones ever to come out. So I'm ready to be challenged, and I'm ready to have some fun. So yeah,
All right, cool little remake of a classic game.
yep,
Yeah, and again, that seems like it's probably going to be a trend in the coming years. It's just to remake all these old games that we have a lot of love and admiration for, and just shit all over our dreams. But
exactly, yeah.
I am hopeful that that could actually be something kind of cool. All right, so now I'm gonna get to a game that kind of took me by surprise.
Okay,
The minute that I saw it, I'm not familiar with Shadow Warrior 1 and 2. But I'm not going to play the
okay,
volume just out of fear that we get kind of caught by YouTube or whatever, just because their algorithm is so crazy. But go watch this trailer. This is Shadow Warriors 3. And I instantly fell in love with the moment that I saw it. The comedy in the cutscenes is a breath of fresh air. It's in this high fantasy setting that also has real like guns, modern day weapons, but the characters are so awesome. It looks like it's going to be one of the funnier video games that we played in a long time. But where you really get sold is the combat. I mean, it is the definition of an action first person adventure title where it, in my opinion, seamlessly blends swordplay with a first person shooter style with a wide variety of crazy batshit insane guns that do all different kinds of things. And as you can see from the visuals, I mean, this game is absolutely gorgeous. The colors pop. It almost has a little bit of a cell shaded kind of feel, but not totally. And now we're gonna get to some of the action here. And man, if you actually look at this video game, I mean, like I said, it came out of nowhere for me. Jeffrey, I don't know if you're familiar with either one of the original ones, but after seeing this, dude, I'm sold, man. This is the kind of game to get you involved in first-person shooters. Like, I think if you're not a fan of first persons, by the way, crazy violence also. If you're not a fan of first-person shooters, I feel like every person kind of needs a game that kind of shows them what a first-person shooter can be and how fun it is, and maybe a different kind of varied style of gameplay. And if that marks you, then this is the perfect game for you. I'm a huge fan of action-adventure games and hack and slashes, and now you put it in first person, make it a shooter as well. As you can see, just some of the craziest, most insane graphics and action moments that you've seen in a long time. I personally don't know why this game hasn't gotten more buzz. I mean, this looks like the definition of a really cool AAA title, and it just kind of isn't getting the love that I think it should. We don't have a release date as of now, but sometime in 2021, we will be playing this, and it's one of the games that I'm by far most excited to play.
Yeah, that looks. I'm telling you, not many games can put together melee combat and gun mechanics at the same time.
Right.
So I'm really interested in the smoothness of this game. The humor's not my style. It's pretty, no offense, but it's kind of Rick and Morty juvenile.
Which I fucking
whatever.
love. And by the way,
I hate it, so.
I like the fact that who hates Rick and Morty? You're such a weird one.
Me.
But I do like the fact that it doesn't take itself serious. Like
Right,
a
yeah.
lot of these games, like this is meant to be a funny, action-packed, fun, good time. I mean, it is what it is. It's not trying to sell you on a false bill.
No, not at all. And it just reminds me of Duke Nukem, and I hate Duke Nukem. So that's what it feels like to me.
But Duke Nukem is also super contrived. But dude, eventually,
Very,
I'm gonna get you on Rick and Morty here. Yeah, dude.
Maybe I'll give it a proper shot. I've seen like one episode and hated it.
You haven't
so we'll
seen
see.
anything. You're judging before you even have enough to judge. All right. Anyway,
Okay.
that's my number 5. Jeffrey, what is next?
So
on your doc?
for me, this damn it. Hang on a second. Oh yeah, I gotta hit the percent button. Jesus, this is why I'm not the host.
The
Because
percent
I
button?
have no
What is the percent button?
percent.
Oh,
button.
present. Oh, well, that makes much more sense.
I can't talk today apparently. So my next game is Godfall. And I'll be straight up with you. I'm not I usually don't like games like this. Typically, this kind of stuff reminds me of like Destiny and Warframe and games like that are completely based on like looter shooter mechanics. But this game in particular has me interested because it's completely melee focused, which is something that I don't think this genre has done yet. The swordplay looks great. In this particular presentation, they talk about the different combos and the different weapons you can get. I don't know. It feels like a hack and slash, and I like those. So it'll be interesting to see if this game like really gets me into the genre, because I'm typically not that guy who goes out and gets games that are revolved around loot. I'm not a Diablo player, so like, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, except with swords. So I'm really interested in if this will hold me, and I'm also interested in the world because it's a very high fantasy setting, and I love that particular genre of storytelling. So it'll be interesting to see if this will actually hold my interest. But that's also why it's number 4 because it's pretty low on my list.
Okay. Yeah, that I mean, listen, I don't blame you for putting Godfall on your list. Um, here, you can go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay.
Um, Godfall is one of those games, and I'll go ahead and put mine up. Let's go ahead and do. So I also put Godfall mainly for a different reason. And again, it's also not as high up on my list. But the reason I put it on there is because it makes me hopeful for a launch title. Like, out of all of the games that are going to launch with the new consoles, with PlayStation specifically, it's the most new breath of fresh air that we're gonna get. It's a brand new IP. They have a really cool concept, a lot of really cool action, and again, you might notice as sort of a theme with all my games is I love the world that they built.
Mm-hmm.
So, high fantasy, really colorful, or just put me in the world that you're trying to present to me. And
Right.
I'm more intrigued by this than anything else because I wonder how a game like this is going to convince me to stay involved in the lore
Yeah.
and the world as the games continue to go forth. I hope that this isn't a game that's just one of those games that's pushed out at launch and is kind
Yeah.
of forgotten after the initial few months of a console's release. I hope it ends up turning into something more. It looks promising. It looks like it has fast and dynamic gameplay that will be riveting enough to keep people coming back for more. It seems to have a very varied style of combat that allows the player to kind of choose what way they want to play, which I think is important, especially nowadays. The options that you're going to have, being able to customize your armor and your play style, it just seems like it has the potential to really be something cool. So I do agree with you. I'm excited for Godfall. And I will say, this probably isn't my definitive list in today's show. At a certain point in time, we'll do our most excited titles of 2021. This has games that are in, this year and next. But it basically, I'm hoping that it can be a legitimate, brand new IP for the PlayStation going forward that has success. And it seems to have the right ingredients to be able to do that.
I agree. Yeah, story is going to be a big thing for me. A lot of these setups for a lot of these games have great stories, and they never capitalize on them because they're focused purely on mechanics, which isn't a bad thing. But I would really like to see this world get pushed out because it looks interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, so we're moving on through. What's your number 3?
So, I'm having a hard time now because these are the top 3. Um, I'm 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 gonna go ahead and put present button. God, one of these days I'll get used to this crap. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and put Spider-Man Miles Morales at number 3.
Nice.
Spider-Man was one of my favorite games on the PS4, other than the God of War reboot from 2018. This game did open worlds right. You could swing around this open world map and you'd be there in like 2 seconds. Typically, I don't like open world games because they're slow and methodical, but Spider Man had you zipping around fast. The story felt like it came straight out of a comic book. Uh, I just it was awesome, and it had the combat system of like Arkham Asylum and all those games that I've always loved. So yeah, I'm really interested in this. I want to see where they go with Miles and how well they can adapt him into the game. They clearly know their source material. He uses electricity in his attacks. He's able to go invisible at certain points, which is something that he's able to do in the comics. So it looks like they really like took this to the next level. My irritation for this actually comes from something I just found out recently, and this may seem like a minor detail to some, but to me it's kind of irritating. So, uh, in order to get the enhanced version of Spider-Man for your PS5, you have to you have to buy the deluxe edition of Miles Morales. So, yes, you will be able to play your PS4 copy on your PS5, but if you want Spider-Man with enhanced visuals, you basically have to buy the game again. Uh, so it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why isn't it just a free upgrade? So that's kind of irritating. Also, there's no word on how long Miles Morales is going to be. It's a standalone title, but that makes me wonder, because they pushed it out so quickly, is it going to be a full length game, or is this going to be a side story that I end up regretting purchase? So, yeah, I'm skeptical about this now because I don't know.
Well, let me kind of put my 2 cents in there. I think that you're right, but I also think that you're worrying about nothing a little bit because, in my mind, the name of the game right now is to make more of these kinds of games. This is going to be the first version of Miles Morales that we're really truly getting a big expanded universe Spider-Man version of himself. And so, in my mind, you know that this isn't going to be a one-off thing. There's going to be more Spider-Man. There's going to be more Miles Morales. I wouldn't be surprised if a game like this ends on a cliffhanger. But you can do it in a way that's good. That doesn't make it feel like the whole thing was cheap. I mean,
Right.
unlike some movies today, which are intentionally made to be a bunch of different parts, video games, you have to actually flesh out the whole entire thing, or there isn't going to be any reason for anyone to play the game. Whereas,
Right.
a lot of these Fast and Furious movies and all that bullshit, like, you pretty much know that they're doing it to milk it for another 10 years worth of stuff, which Sony wants to do the same thing, but they also want to make it worth the experience and have them blend together. So, I don't know. I mean, has there been any word that the game is going to be short, or?
Well, see, because it was originally planned as just an add-on for the PS4 game, and now they've pushed it back to PS5. So I don't know if it's going to be a full 8 hour experience or if it's just going to be like a 3 hour add-on thing repackaged. I really don't know, and I don't think anyone knows at this point.
I would
So I'm
hope
just a little hesitant.
apprehensive, sure. I would hope that going forward that Sony, of all companies, knows that they're not going to be able to get away with half-assing a premium title such as this. And given the gameplay and what we've seen so far, I don't imagine that would be a cause for concern. But again, I don't know. I don't know. But I am glad that you put Spider-Man on the list. I think you have a great top 3 so far, or bottom 3 rather. Now we're going to start to get into ours. I'm on my number 3, right? Yeah, you did your 3.
Yes.
Now I do.
Yeah, you are.
All right. Mine's kind of simple. And I honestly didn't even know originally where it would fit on the list, how or why. But after thinking about it more, even though I'm someone that hasn't been a huge, like, I'm a big time Jack and Daxter fan. Like, I grew up spending so much time on those games, and Ratchet and Clank came out at around the same time, so it's like I was always more Team Jack and Daxter than I was Ratchet. But the reason why I'm putting this in, and again, we also have Crash Bandicoot coming out here soon also, is it might be out already. In fact, I don't even know.
October 4th.
4th, okay, so we're getting close to Crash. And the reason why I decided to put Ratchet and Clank in my top 3 is because I like that, in my mind at least, it means something for the return of platformers. Yeah, it's a shooter and it has a bunch of other different gameplay mechanics that's going to bring people to the title as well, but it's also just the fact that a video game where the level in and of itself is meant to be the biggest obstacle, where you're having to traverse and figure out how to get from one point to another and doing puzzles and implementing action into it on top of that. I think Insomniac has always done well at that. And I'm hoping that we get back to a point where there continues to be a bunch of titles that come out that are like a legitimate first party game that ends up being a big deal and pushes platformers back into the public sphere. Because I've had some of my most fun playing platformers of all different kinds. And I'm just into it, man. Like, I like the color palette. Again, you'll notice that I'm like an ADD patient, man. Like, all of my games are like, whoa, bright, colorful, shiny. But I'm into it. I like the aesthetic of it. The graphics seem incredible. And it just seems like a fun game to play. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that, like I said, it'll continue to reward video game designers to make titles like this. That it doesn't have to be the normal first-person shooter or hack and slash action RPG. That there is room for types of games like this.
Yeah, and it seems like they really they've always made great games, but it seems like they really understand the importance of making something like this. As you were saying, platformers were kind of a dying breed. And as someone who is now combing through the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, I can tell you how much I have missed proper platformers over the years. And this one is really cool. The fact that they're going to be able to switch like time periods, and you're going to have these huge set pieces and all this stuff happening simultaneously due to the PlayStation's solid state drive is fantastic. Like, I can't wait to see what kind of setups we get. The gameplay in these has always been smooth, so I'm not even worried about that. But I'm just curious to see how far they can really push the envelope, and it really looks like they're trying their hardest here. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes of this.
I am too, and again, I mean, I love the art style. I mean, just rewatching this now as we're going back presenting them. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. It's bright and colorful and fun and fluid. A lot of really cool stuff to like there. But all right, we're now at our top two. Jeffrey, why don't you go ahead and present your number 2 pick?
Sure. Now, at first, I was like, okay, which one should I put? But it makes sense here to put this, I think. So, this is Demon Souls, the remake of Demon Souls for the PS5, which is going to be a launch title. You're going to be able to see here, I thought this video was cool because it shows the comparison between the old PS3 version and the new PS5 version, and you can just see like how they have meticulously gone back and like really reworked these environments. It's the exact same game, just literally a remake, which
a lot prettier with a lot better textures, a lot better gameplay animation.
Yeah, I think the way they're able to push the whole medieval, fantasy setting here is really great. That's something that the original Demon Souls did as well, but it also gives you a sense of dread because these games are hard as shit. Because for those who don't know, this is the first game of its kind. Y'all probably know Dark Souls by now, but this is the first Dark Souls, if you want to call it that. This is before that whole name brand took off. So this is their first attempt at it. And I always thought it was the best one out of the bunch, other than Bloodborne, which is its own beast entirely. But not to get off on too much of a rant. But yeah, I always thought that this original entry was their best one. So for them to go back and like really pay attention and like really smooth out those animations, these fights, and really bring it to the next level is beyond awesome. Um, as you can see, they've added a whole bunch of stuff like motion blur and you know to really make it feel like more cinematic. Um, I'm really excited to go through this game again, and this is probably definitely going to be the definitive way to play through it. And I always thought it was irritating that Demon Souls never got a release on the newer consoles. It stayed at the PS3, and I was like, well, they did Dark Souls remastered and all those other games, so it always pissed me off that Demon Souls didn't get a port, but now we know why. So I'm really excited for this one.
So Jeffrey, I mean, maybe I'm just reading too much into this, but 2 of your 5 games are remakes. Do you
Yes.
think that says anything about the creativity levels that are still flowing through our video game industry, or do you think that you're just kind of like many other people and just maybe a little bit? I don't want to say. I was gonna say victim to your own nostalgia, but do you think it's just your nostalgia playing on you that maybe these might better upon the experiences that you had with those games? Or is it just, like I said, the lack of creativity and new IPs coming out?
I think it's more so the fact that um, I don't like the way that the video game industry is going in a lot of ways. I don't like the whole microtransaction bullshit of like Fortnite and all these other
Right.
games that seem to be popular, Fall Guys, all that shit. They seem to be multiplayer, cash grabbing, worthless. I'm sorry, but it's true. I mean, I'm just tired of that trend. I want a full game that's going to hit me, and I want it to be single player, and I want to be able to go at my own pace without having to worry about whether I'm in the top leaderboard or some shit. I hate that trend. So for me, going back, yes, it's about nostalgia, but it's also about a solid single player gameplay experience, which this generation just doesn't seem to want any of, to be honest. So that's my little mini rant out of the way, but it's true.
No, I hear you. I hear you completely. Um, all right, yeah, you can definitely tell the difference
Yeah.
in titles here. But all right, um, let's move on. So I'm going to. I actually had a tough time deciding between my number 2. And by the way, there are even honorable mentions for me that I decided to leave off of here just because I didn't know what more to say about them. And I think there's not enough seen on them yet for me to add them to my list. So I don't have Final Fantasy 16 on my list. There are a few other games that I debated on putting on my list, but the one that I've decided to put at number 2 is Gotham Knights.
Oh shit! I
And
forgot about that one.
no, dude, you did that for me with Spider-Man. Oh fuck, I forgot about Miles Morales. But yeah, listen, Gotham Knights. I love the fact that they're now finally starting to expand the Batman world. And now, I mean, if you've been familiar with the Batman characters and the story arc from either the movies or the video games for the past, the 10 to 20 years, they make a lot of emphasis on the other supporting characters around Bruce Wayne. Like who you're seeing here, Barbara Gordon and Batgirl. Nightwing. Now you're going to add Robin. Then the Red Hood, who I love as one of my favorite Batman characters. Red Hood has always reminded me of a blend between Batman and the Punisher. Like if Batman was just fucking brutal, it would be Red Hood. And I like the fact that they're already taking a tried and true formula with Arkham and being able to go around the city and as Batman and do all kinds of cool Batman shit, They did that. They marked that off the checklist. Now they get to do the same thing in a co-op type of game with these other characters that they're expanding upon. I love it. There isn't really a whole lot for me to say about this other than I'm just really excited to play another dark and gritty version of Batman. And I know that it's going to have my favorite Batman villains of all time in the Court of Owls as a part of the story. And that's one of my favorite comic arcs from all of the Batman universe. So I'm pumped. I'm excited to see the different variations in the kind of play style that each different character has. You see Barbara Gordon, of course, is very acrobatic with her tonfas, which look awesome. Tonfas are such an underutilized weapon. But the game graphically looks awesome. The gameplay feels solid. But you know what you're getting with these Batman games now. Like I said, I think they perfected it after Arkham. And I think that they're trying to do cool stuff here by adding RPG elements to the game. So you're about to see Mr. Freeze here. And we talked about it when we saw it the first time. But the boss battle and what Mr. Freeze can do will vary depending on what level you are when you enter the battle. So it's a very different boss fight at level 5 than it is at, say, 15 or 20. So I feel like they're offering a good variety of different kinds of play styles. Again, you'll be able to play it with your friends. So me and Jeffrey are definitely going to crash through this.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm into it. I'm excited. Jeffrey, what say you?
So I can't believe I forgot this because I'm a DC fan and not a Marvel fan, so I can't believe I put Spider-Man over Batman. I literally forgot this existed until you just pulled it up.
So you put the Marvel title, even though I'm more of a Marvel fan, and I put the DC.
Yeah,
title.
I know.
Yeah.
Ass backwards, I know. I'm really interested mainly to see the differences between these characters because these characters have been in the Arkham games in some form or another. In Arkham Knight, you were able to play as the Red Hood and as Barbara Gordon, but it was very similar. Like, they didn't actually have any, differing traits or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how they really bring these characters in, because before they were an afterthought, added into the game later, whereas here they're going to be from day one, supposedly. So it'll be really cool to see how the combos and how, the whole system works. Also, I love Kevin Conroy and I love Mark Hamill as the Batman and Joker respectively, but I'm sick of the Joker in particular. I see him in everything. We got the Joker's just, he's a great villain, don't get me wrong. I want other things to be in the spotlight, and sure. I think this is a game that can really, bring out Batman's rogues gallery of underdeveloped or, not seen very often characters. So, like you said, Mr. Freeze, and, I want some of the off the wall ones. I want, the Mad Hatter and random shit that nobody ever talks about,
Yeah, Penguin, Two-Face, Riddler.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want the smaller ones we never hear about. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued. The game looks beautiful, but that's not really a surprise. The Arkham games have always looked good. Yeah, man, I'm rambling, but yeah, I can't wait to see what happens here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I really am. I'm not normally a huge video really. Let's be honest. Only the past few years have they finally started to get superhero video games right.
Exactly.
For years and years, we deal with crappy Batman after Spider-Man. It's and I like it that we have Spider-Man and Batman as our top 5 titles. Because it's now they've gotten it right. It took them, nearly 2 decades of shit games getting it wrong. But now they're the most exciting games to look forward to. And Now that we have
Exactly.
this new technology, they're finally able to make you really feel like you're the web slinger and you're that sense of speed and motion. And but Batman making you feel like you have his entire arsenal of kick-assery, from the Batmobile to all of his equipment and weapons and armor. Yeah, Superman or superhero games, just like movies. It feels like they're the future, man. Especially knowing that we have another Suicide Squad coming.
Right. Oh my God.
Avengers
Yeah.
just came out. Like this
Yep.
trend is not gonna go away
No,
anytime
I don't. I
soon.
don't think so.
But
That's awesome.
yeah. But Jeffrey, we've gotten to the moment. What
Oh
is
God.
your most anticipated game?
You're gonna think I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but
Okay.
this is this is my most anticipated game, and it's funny because you said something about it earlier. Uh,
I think I already know where you're going.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. We're
yeah.
gonna talk about
This
it.
is Final Fantasy 16,
Yeah.
and I know we haven't really seen or heard much about it other than this trailer. But right now, I am absolutely sold in the prospect of the story alone. I think having the summons actually be certain people is a great idea for world building. I like the fact that there are different mercenaries, maybe even cults dedicated to specific entities, which I always thought was really neat. They kind of tried all this with 15, with um, one of the characters actually ended up being a summon. So they've kind of tested the waters with that a little bit, but I don't know. I'm really interested. This is like it's gonna be back into an actual fantasy setting instead of you know um, with cars and shit like 15 was. So I mean, they're really going back to their roots. Also, it apparently has ties to Final Fantasy 14, which uh, is an MMO that is still going on, and it's some of the best storytelling in the series, in my opinion. So the fact that they're bringing over some of those lead writers, as well as the combat designer, one of the main combat designers for Devil May Cry 5, tells me that we're going to have some high action RPG esque stuff instead of just holding down a button to attack. I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more nuanced in the way that it's handled. It looks gorgeous. Um, and I love the mystery around it. I love the fact that we don't know anything. The only thing actually I was able to dig up recently was that this game has actually been in development for 4 years. So that's actually why they were able to show as much as they did here, was because they've been secretly working on this project
For
for quite a while now.
years. That means since 2016 they've been.
Y-
This
Yeah,
has
dude.
been in the works. And see,
Yeah.
Jeffrey, like that's okay. Like, yeah, I am glad that you did actually put this on your list, cause the reason why I didn't put it, it's not that I'm not freaking excited for Final Fantasy 16, cause I
Mhm.
definitely am. But my only thing with them is I feel like the last few years at Square Enix, they've kind of lost their way as to what Final Fantasy is and what makes it special. And
Exactly.
granted, I understand you have to do new things, and I'm not. There are a lot of things that really excite me about this game and about this trailer and what we've seen. But especially if what you're saying is true, that this game has kind of been in the works for 4 years, I guess part of my trepidation is that I don't know that they've bucked their trend of kind of missing the main point of these Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm kind of choosing to be a little bit pessimistic instead is because I want to see a direction that I feel good about before I can really endorse it and get behind it. Because I
Right.
know how mismanaged the company has been for the past few years. I'm also just praying that it has a good development cycle. I hope that Square Enix has enough wherewithal to know that they live and die by this series right here, Final Fantasy. They live and die by it. If Final Fantasy is good, then Square Enix is good. But in order for that to happen, it has to get the proper development cycle that's seen through from start to finish. Don't change the producer 15 times.
I know.
Don't change up the development team. Keep a singular team with a singular vision and give this game the proper development cycle that it should have. Because I also think, Jeffrey, and you and I have talked about this before a little bit, Final Fantasy 15 wasn't the greatest Final Fantasy by any stretch of the imagination. But all things considered, when you look at the development hell that it went through, it's actually almost kind of a godsend that it ended up being as good as it was. I mean, I had fun with it for a large portion of that game during the open world portion. Again, it's where the story kind of fell short for me and some of the gameplay aspects. But again, they were trying to salvage a sinking ship. So, I'm able to kind of give them a little more leniency on that. But I'm not willing to do it again. So what I'm basically saying is if this is a numbered Final Fantasy, it's very important. I want to see more trailers and more content to be hopeful that what I'm looking at is something to have faith in. And again, I said this on a podcast a week or two ago. The gameplay combat is heavily influenced by, for example, Devil May Cry. Which, again, I love. I grew up playing every single Devil May Cry that there is to completion. So, I'm a little more reserved about it, but we'll see. What prompted you to put it number 1 on your list?
Because I'm story-wise, I am really, really intrigued. Even if the combat doesn't sell me, the story does. I like the fact that they went back to their medieval roots. It's cool seeing the summons in major high detail like that. And they were good in 15 as well, but it seems, I don't know. I'm really clamoring for an RPG that hooks me. And it's weird because I play Final Fantasy 15 once a year, and people ask me why that game sucked. But I saw the potential that game had. Yeah. What it could have been. And I continue to play it every year. And my thought is, okay, like you said, take the bullshit that you learned, have an actual, set time and date for things and not, please don't throw it to Nomura again. Please, for the love of God.
Yes.
I love that man. I do, because the Kingdom Hearts and all that. But please, to the love of God, do not let him touch this. Yeah. And just go with your own flow, please. And I think it will be successful. But
I also realized that Tetsuya is an artist. And there's a lot of weird artist-type dudes. I kind of think that he needs to do the Hironobu Sakaguchi thing. And at this point, just leave Square Enix. And go make the weird shit that you want to make. But exactly. If you want to do that, I support an artist's ability and want to do that. But dude, get your dick out of Final Fantasy, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, but we're gonna move in a different direction here.
Yeah.
But all right, I guess we'll just go ahead and hit my number 1 title. And if you know me, this is no surprise at all. And it's also just because it's the most relevant thing on my brain because it's coming up here very soon, and that is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And for the reason, basically the same reason I was super excited for Ghost of Tsushima is the same reason that I'm excited for Assassin's Creed. It's a Viking simulator. That's all I want. That I'm sold on. I love the medieval time period anyway. But give me the ability, right here, as you can see, to storm your castle with your men, decide how you want to attack. You have a bunch of different weapons and variations of fighting style. I mean, it makes you feel like you're a medieval Viking badass. And you get to build your own settlement, build your own world. I've actually never seen this trailer, by the way, so I'm now just now seeing more of the assassin type of gameplay. But also, at this point, the story of Assassin's Creed, I'm interested in this as a standalone title, but it used to be, there was a through line of the story in Assassin's Creed with Desmond and his battle with Abstergo and the Templar, and that whole arc is now over. So
Yes.
I don't know what the future storyline is. Point being, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's a Viking simulator. That's all it needs to be. That's all I want it to be. And I'm just pumped, man. Like the commonality in all of my titles is that there's a varied way for you to play. You don't have to play it one way. So we know that you'll be able to do things like dual wield every kind of weapon that there is, including shields, spears, axes, swords, you name it, you'll be able to use it and dual wield with it. So that says that there is a very broad fighting style in this game. The scenery, a lot of people, when it was kind of shown earlier, a lot of people were kind of poo-pooing it a little bit because of the graphics. And yeah, is it the most graphically powerful game you've ever seen? No. Has Assassin's Creed ever been? No, I don't think so. Now, there have been some great graphics, and again, this is a working definition, so I am hoping and assuming that the finished title is going to be smoother than what you're seeing right here. But ultimately, I know what Assassin's Creed does and does well. They're giving me what I like while also giving me a brand new time period with a brand new kind of warrior. And I think one of the things that Assassin's Creed Brotherhood did that was so well and fun is that you had to recruit your own assassins to do missions around the world. And I had fun with that in its own right, but I always had this story in my head of like my assassins would ride and die for me, and they're badass warriors. Like I loved that aspect of it. And now that you have your own Viking horde that is with you everywhere you go, they're a part of your team, your crew. It really does make you feel like you're the badass leader of like a warrior squad that's going in to fuck some shit up, man. And dude, call me a simple man, but that's enough for me. It's coming out, I believe, November. Either October or November.
Actually, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's late in October, but I could be wrong. The reason I didn't put this in my list is because I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and
Okay.
unfortunately, this seems to be going down the same path from a structure standpoint and from a gameplay standpoint as Odyssey did. And for those of you who don't know, actually, it started in Origins, which was the one before Odyssey. But generally, what happens is that everything is an RPG system, which sounds great because you and I both love RPGs. But there's this thing where the game kicks you out or will not let you do certain missions until you get to a certain point or have the right gear, which again sounds good, except it makes you basically do all the side quests around you, which honestly aren't that interesting. And then, most egregiously, what it does is it allows you to pay for in-game currency with real money in order to speed up that process. And if you do not do that, then you are stuck grinding for 5 hours just to get to the next story beat. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen here. Or at least I'm hoping there's a way to either turn it off or to lower the difficulty to where gear doesn't matter. Because I'm not going to sit here and grind a bunch of stupid ass side stories that mean nothing, only to get to the next thing, only to be roadblocked shortly again after that, and repeat the process. I want to be able to move forward, and I want to be able to do what I want to do without the game telling me, no, I can't be here because I'm going to get my ass kicked in one hit. I just
Right.
I'm a little hesitant, and it does seem like that's the way this game is going. And I refuse to pay real money for a single player game in microtransactions. I mean, so
Well, and also, I don't know that it's gonna be that yet, though. So
I
I think
don't know that, but I'm going by what we have seen, and there was a shot of it hasn't been in this trailer yet, but we've seen the loadout screen, and they have different rarities for your weapons and shit, just like they did um, with Odyssey. So all this is presumption, I will say,
right.
but all the UI elements that I have seen are very similar to Odyssey, and it just makes me a little bit apprehensive.
Yeah.
That's all.
And one of the things I'm hoping is that I don't mind that style where you're recommended to be a certain level before you partake in something. I mean,
Right,
Ghost of Tsushima just did that pretty well, I think.
right.
But one of the things that I hope they do is that they reward you for exploring and doing the other things that will cause you to
Yes.
naturally power yourself up to a level where you're adequate enough to go and do all the cool, fun shit that you want to do. Like
Yeah, that'll be fun.
games like this, when it's more of an open world kind of thing, which I'm assuming that that's what this is, even though there are main story beats. That a game like this, it's gonna reward you for going around, completing quests, doing things. Again, I mean, listen, if we're being very plain and honest here, um, this is basically like a reskinned version of Ghost of Tsushima. And in my
Yeah,
opinion,
essentially.
it's not going to be as pretty as Ghost of Tsushima was, but I think that's also due to the setting.
Right.
But this game, it's essentially, if you like the Ghost of Tsushima, then you're going to like this for the same reasons. You're going to be slaughtering people in the same kinds of way, finding items. And, some of you might say, well, then again, if it's so similar to another game that just came out, then it's not really that original. Which, again, I understand that completely. My thing is as you're able to see here, the variety of weapons that you're able to use, the ability to be a Viking raider is just incredible. And I'm hoping that the story is a breath of fresh air and a surprise, that it actually ends up being worth a damn and something that you can get behind. It's definitely
Yeah.
from an interesting time point in history. There are tons of Viking shows now that
Oh
seemingly
yeah.
explore all this the same time period when Vikings were trying to settle in modern day England, and it just seems fun. And again, if you liked Ghost of Tsushima and how it played and what it did, I'm picking this up for those same exact reasons. The story is secondary to me. I just want to build my own character in my own way and be my own kind of badass Viking, just like Tsushima allowed me to be my own badass samurai. So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. Um,
And
I just
it's right
I'm
around the
just a little
corner, too.
hesitant,
So,
but
no, I understand. And you have a very legitimate criticism, too, especially after seeing Odyssey and there being things from there that it looks like are in here, too. I don't blame you at all. Just like I don't think you blamed me for leaving Final Fantasy off the list.
not at all. Not at all. Yeah, and that's
And
kind
by
of
the
the
way,
thing,
if
right?
I knew that I wasn't going to be playing this in about a month or two, it probably wouldn't be my number one. But the
Right.
fact that I'm looking forward to playing this here soon is, again, this is my top five most anticipated, and I'm really excited about playing this here soon. So that's
Yep.
why it is my number one title.
Yeah, definitely. I I'm interested in it too. I just I just don't know. And one other thing, really, really quickly, because
Hmm.
I forgot. Um, I have one honorable mention, but I'm not going to show any gameplay or anything like
Sure.
that. I've got Cyberpunk 2077. uh, in the back of my head, but I don't know. I'm really hesitant about open world games in general. And even though I loved The Witcher 3, which is, the developers for that game, I was never able to finish it just because it was so massive and it took so much of my time.
Right.
But I am interested in Cyberpunk. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it. So that's why I didn't put it on the list.
Yeah, that's another one that
Um,
comes out October, I believe, right? Like right
uh,
pretty soon.
November, right along with the launch of
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
console.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, and just so everybody knows, I was not able to pre-order any of the new consoles. So, if a game is specific to the next generation, it's probably going to be February before I can get my hands on one, and that's being optimistic, actually. So, just to let you know, if it doesn't come out for the PS4, or the PC in a relevant manner, then I'm not going to be able to touch it for a
Don't feel
while.
bad, bro. It's the same here. I'm not like I said. And this is normally how it is. Like I'm never normally the guy that's like waiting in line to go buy the console. I haven't
Right.
pre-ordered it yet. Sony did flub their pre-order thing, and
Well,
then
apparently so did Xbox, so they both did.
which again you've been knowing about this for months. Like, come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah, man.
do this right. This isn't your first rodeo. Figure this shit out. You know
Hmm.
people are gonna be flocking to pre-order it,
Yeah.
but I don't
Whatever.
know. Well,
We'll get to that when we get to that eventually. I
yeah,
just
but all of the
wanted.
main all of the main video games at some point or another, you will hear the opinions of both Jeffrey Redmond and myself as we
Right.
talk about them. When
Yep.
it'll be, I don't know, but we know for sure. You're going to. Are you picking up Cyberpunk?
I actually I think I'm gonna wait for the next generation. So
Okay.
um, I think I'm. Plus, it's gonna give me time to decide if I actually want to buy it or not. So, yeah, it's on the fence kind of thing for me at the moment, but we'll see as time goes on.
What about Assassin's Creed?
Um, Honestly, I'm probably just gonna watch a playthrough of it on YouTube,
That's fine.
uh, unless the reviews come out and I see that it is different from Odyssey. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna hit the main story points either here on YouTube or like read a synopsis somewhere or
Right.
something. Um,
Yeah.
just being deadly honest here, because like I'm
No,
just
I don't
that
blame you.
apprehensive about it.
I'm probably gonna do that for Cyberpunk. There's I don't know what it is. There's something that like
It
that.
doesn't sit right,
Yeah, I don't
does it?
know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I don't know how to put my finger on it. Like
no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
something about
I
like
had
I
the
was
same
watching
feeling.
I was watching a trailer for Cyberpunk where they were talking about the different gangs of the
Mhm.
world that you're in. And I
Yeah,
don't know. It just seemed kind of hokey and far
kinda.
fetched a little
Yeah,
bit, but I
yeah,
don't know.
I'm with you.
Again, the level of customization I think is going to be fun also. So, um,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll probably do like you. If I hear good reviews about Cyberpunk or if I see promising things enough in a playthrough, um, then I might pick it up. But I'll probably just watch a playthrough first. I know I'm
Right.
playing AC, so I'm
Okay. Fair
definitely
enough.
doing
Fair
that.
enough.
And we'll do reviews for both of them at some point in time.
Yep.
But that does it for another edition of the Cripple Connection podcast. My name is Cody Lashing. You can find me on Twitter at CodyLac, CodyLac. Jeffrey Redmond, where can they find you, bro?
They can find me on Twitter. I'm at JeffroRed, so at JEFFRORED. You can come by, say hi, talk about video games, shoot the shit, whatever you want to do. Um, I'm always glued to my phone, so if you ever need to hit me up, that's the place to do it.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
But, Jeffrey, thanks for doing another show with me, bro. We are coming to the close of our 25th episode.
That is
That's it, folks.
insane.
That is it. All right, peace and love, everybody.